Hey everyone, my name's Tori, and today's video I'm going to it's a little different than what I've done before, but I thought it'd be really fun. I've been getting really into BookTube, and I've always loved to read, and I've always loved books and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but like, there's so many people on YouTube who read books and review books, and like, I don't know why I never thought to like type into YouTube like book reviews. I don't know. But I just think it's really fun to watch book reviews or book recommendations, and it's just fun. I'm really into it. So I wanted to do a little BookTube video. I'm not gonna promise I'm like any good at it, but I have 4 books here that I read, and honestly I wish I could just read all day. I just don't, and this is everybody's excuse, but I just don't have a lot of time. And the extra time that I do have, and I really do believe that you make time for what's important to you. And reading is important to me, but so are like 10 other things. And when I get home from work, you know, I leave for work around like 6 a.m., 6:15. And when I get home from work, it's usually close to 6 p.m., 6:30 or later, just depending on the day. And if I want to be like in bed asleep by 9 so I can get 8 hours of sleep, then it's like, you only have this, you know, so many hours. I don't get very far very fast sometimes. But over the summer, I was able to finish a few books. I never thought to save them and talk about them on the internet, but I thought it would be fun to just kind of go through some of the books that I read. So this is over the past couple of months, maybe since the end of summer, because I have a lot more time during the summer because I'm a teacher, so I have a little bit of time off in the summer. I'm still working and doing other things, but I definitely have a lot more downtime. So the first book that I read is called Bring Her Home by David Bell. And let me preface this by saying I love mysteries and thrillers and psychological thrillers and mysteries. I love books like that. Suspense, like that's my favorite genre to read. And then like self-help. Like those are my favorite. And I've like gotten really into Audible. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so this is Bring Her Home. So this book follows a man named Bill and his 15-year-old daughter Summer and her best friend Haley disappear. Haley, the best friend, is found dead at the scene, and Summer is left beaten beyond recognition and clinging to life. So basically, the entire book is just about Bill trying to figure out what happened to his daughter and her best friend. And his daughter's like beaten beyond recognition to the point where she can't talk and they can't figure out what's going on and all that kind of stuff. So they're just trying to figure out basically what happened. So it's a big, long whodunit. I will say I did. I'm really good at this though, so this might be unfair. I figured out who did it. I knew I was right. Don't you just love that when you're reading a book? I don't know. Some people don't like that when they can predict the ending, but I kind of like it when I can predict it. If it's twisty and I guess the twist, like that's the best. But yeah, I guessed how this was going to end. But I enjoyed it. If you like a mystery, I think it's pretty good. It's not high. It's not like up there on my list. I think it was a fairly quick read for me. It was a pretty easy read, and it was very fast paced. So if you want a pretty fast paced little kind of thriller, it's nice. And I think the father-daughter relationship is nice to read about. And yeah, I thought it was a good book. I remember being pretty satisfied with the ending, and feeling like, oh, that makes sense. Just, you have to read it, you know. My next 3 books are actually all from a subscription box, and the subscription box that I started doing, I think in July, is called Book of the Month, and it's called, or Book of the Month Club. I found it on YouTube, and I got like a coupon code or something, and I was able to get, you know, like get 1 book in your first box and the second one free or whatever. And I think it's about $15 a month, which sometimes for me, depending on the month, it is kind of steep with other things going on in my life, but you're able to skip them. And on the first of every month it comes out, they come out with 5 pre-selected books, and they're from all different types of genres, and different people select them, and they give you reasons why they select them, and they describe the book, and it's cool. So some of them are like up and coming authors, or like books that you maybe wouldn't have heard of otherwise, or maybe you wouldn't have picked up. But it is also really fun, and I get really excited for like when the first of the month comes. So they release the 5 new books, you pick the one that you want, and then they send it to you in your book box, and you can do like an add-on. And they do, I think I've added on a book for like $9. They're all brand new hardback books, which is cool. And those are normally really expensive. So I do think that in terms of like dollar value amount per book, I think you're getting your money's worth. So this one is called Sweet Little Lies by Frear. I don't know how to say the last name, but Sweet Little Lies. And this one was the book of the month, one of the picks for August. This book, it follows 26-year-old Kat Kinsella, and she overcame a troubled childhood and became a detective on the Metropolitan Police Force. There's like a mysterious victim who pops up, and it's a girl from her past. And see, I'm doing this again. There's a victim. Again, this is a mystery, so I'm trying not to reveal too much. But basically, all you need to know is it's like crime fiction. So she's a detective, and it follows this murder that happens, and it somehow links back to her childhood and this girl that she knew and her dad, and kind of, did he have something to do with it? Does she know who this person is? Like, that's a really terrible description, but basically it's just a murder mystery. It's more crime-y than I think like a thriller suspense would be. So it's definitely more like evidence-based, like you're following a police detective going through a crime and processing evidence kind of thing. I liked it. I didn't feel like I was like tearing through this book and like had to find out what happened next. I kind of predicted it, and not in a way that like made me really satisfied. I think it was well written. I just don't know if it was necessarily the right type of thriller for me personally. My next book here is called Ghosted, and this is by Rosie Walsh. I think the cover is so pretty, and that's actually what drew me to it in the first place. And I thought the name was really cute. So this was a pick for July. So this book is basically about this girl named Sarah, and she meets a man named Eddie, and they fall in love, and they have this whirlwind romance for like a couple weeks, and then he goes out of town, and then he doesn't call her. So she gets ghosted by him, and everybody thinks that she's crazy, but she's completely convinced that something happened to him. So she basically goes on this mission to figure out what happened to him. So again, I'm very into thriller, suspense, mystery kind of thing, so I kind of thought that's what this would be, but it turned out to be a little more romancy, and for that reason I didn't love it that much, only because I was hoping for more of like suspense, thriller. Like, for me, the darker and the twistier the better, so it just kind of like didn't go there for me. I thought it was a cute story, but it was a little bit of like oh, that's what happened, just for me. That doesn't mean that you might like it, but for me, it didn't do enough in like the mystery part for me. But it was okay. It was fun. It was a pretty easy read. It took me a little push to get through it, because I was kind of like, I don't want to read a love story. I kind of wanted to read like I have to be in a very specific mood to read a love story, like a Nicholas Sparks kind of thing. It wasn't that intense, but I liked how it kind of crossed genres. I thought that was interesting, but I like a little more mystery than romance. Ooh, this book I really liked. This is called The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager? Sager? I'm not sure. This was good. This was a pick for, let's see, for July as well. So that's the month that I joined. I got 2 books. This was really good. This is basically about a girl named Emma, and she goes off to camp when she's younger, and she is in a cabin with 3 older girls, and they all go missing, and no one ever finds out what happens to them. And she grows up and becomes a really famous artist in Manhattan, I believe. I think she's in New York. They call her and they want to reopen the camp. So they close the camp after this whole thing happens, and all these years later they want to reopen it. Now I think she's in her 20s, and they want her to come back and be a counselor and teach art, like an art counselor or whatever. So she agrees to go back, and basically she just spends the entire time trying to figure out what happened to them. And she's very haunted by that whole time of her life, and kind of has this ghost vibe to it. And I read this when I was alone, really late at night, and I got kind of creeped out. So this was a really good book. I really loved the way that it was written. I thought the twists were good. I think the ending, I liked it. It made me kind of like at first, before the final couple of pages, I was kind of like, okay, okay, sure, you know, like, that's fine, okay, I get, that's fine, that's a fine ending, whatever, okay, cool. And then, like, the last couple of pages, you're like, if you've read this book, tell me if you feel the same way. But I do think some people would probably be like, oh, come on. But, like, I kind of liked it. This is good. This is a really good one. I'm really excited to read her other book. So that's all I have for this video. I have no idea if I'll do another video like that again. I think I might. It's also, I think, a fun way for me to keep track of what I've read. It's fun to talk about books. I like to talk about a lot of different things, and books is one of my hobbies, just like, you know, makeup or candles or something. So anyway, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.